don't be afraid to mention the paper and that we're using a paper.
Of course not.
Because we don't want to sound like experts. Yeah. So we want to be like, hey, Steve, hand me that paper, man. I got to take a look at that. It's okay. Don't hide the paper.
Okay. MidYouth Universe Saga Series.
MidYouth Universe Saga Series.
Saga Series.
Speak experience, not expertise.
Yes.
We speak experience, not expertise.
All right, guys. So if we're ready to get going.
We live?
All right. Well, welcome to the MidYouth Universe Cat.
You gotta screw up.
That's your camera over there. Right?
All right.
Yeah.
Welcome to the MidYouth Universe cast, the Saga series.
MidYouth Universe Saga Series.
Welcome to the MidYouth Universe Saga series, broadcasting from talking to the mic.
Back to basics episode.
Yeah.
Square one.
Take 3.
All right. Welcome to the MidYouth Universe cast, the Saga series.
You keep throwing casting. MidYouth? Okay.
It's fine. Cost is fine. There you go.
All
All right, let's do this. Welcome to the MidYouth Universe, the Saga series, broadcasting from Saiwon-ho. Here with us, we've got some homies with us. Hey, Phil, how's it going, man?
What's up?
Hey, Phil. Hey, Steve. We got Steve joining us.
Hello.
And with us, we got Max,
Hello.
fresh from a shoot. So,
Bank.
welcome, everyone, and welcome, listeners at home. I want to start this episode off with just a simple question. What did you guys learn this week?
All right. I got one because I actually went deep into this when I was on the toilet at work. I read it. Today I learned that the Disney movie John Carter 2012 was one of the most expensive films ever made, with a net budget of $263 million, and simultaneously one of the, if not worst, box office bombs ever. Even adjusted for inflation, the movie resulted in a $200 million loss for Walt Disney Pictures. What was interesting for me was I forgot this movie existed. I think back, I remember seeing it, but I remember how terrible the marketing was. So I dug into it, and I actually found out that despite all of this, it was actually a good, entertaining movie. A lot of people liked it. If you go on IMDb, loads of 10 out of 10.
This is
fantastic.
Taylor Kirsch.
Yeah. The director did the marketing wrong. For some reason, this was intriguing for me.
So, this movie, you just dismissed it. You had too much taste as a.
No, I didn't even know it flew under the radar because it was called John Carter. And
What was the
like,
synopsis again?
The book is called John Carter of Mars, and it's this guy that gets cloned to Mars. I didn't see it. I just read it. That's how interesting it was. And then he's got to. All I know is he has to fight giants, but since he's like got Earth strength, he's like more powerful on Mars. And I gotta watch this now. I think we should put it back on the radar. Give it a second.
It's pretty good. I've seen it twice. It's pretty good.
Wow. Twice.
It's
So nice. You watched it twice.
Yeah.
awesome. So that's the recommendation for this week is John Carter.
John Carter.
Gotcha. I came across something this week that really sometimes on Spotify, like sometimes you get like some of those recommendations.
That's where we are on Spotify.
We are, yeah, that's true. We're also yes, you might see us on the on your recommendations. Nice plug. We got on Spotify they make these recommendations. Sometimes it's like what is this? Like a random it's just kind of like I guess I could be into this. Found a guy this week, Max Cooper. His music, just you ever find like one of those new like artists that just blow your mind for like a week, and it's like awesome. It's basically like techno, like really it's like trans techno, but it was just like wow. So if you're ever on Spotify and you get Max Cooper popping up, give it a try. I've been listening to it for like a week. They say you're not supposed to listen to your favorite like a new favorite music for like again and again because at first, otherwise it becomes like background music, But I've been listening to this guy for like a week, and it's been awesome. Max Cooper. But yeah, what did you guys pick up or learn this week?
I learned why chainsaws were invented, and nobody should know that. That fact should just go under the radar, and it's terrible.
How
did you learn this through research, or did you learn
a
this?
A little bit, yeah. It was on another podcast, and they were like, "Oh, you should Google why chainsaws were invented."
Another podcast? Are you cheating?
You was listening to a podcast as well.
No. MidYouth Universe is life. Only
This is
then.
my universe. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. No, yeah, it's a terrible reason. It's a terrible reason. We shouldn't. They shouldn't exist.
You're just gonna tease us
Well,
like
yeah,
that?
well,
Go Google it. I'm not
Google
gonna-
why the chainsaw. Okay.
Yeah, male chauvinism. It's like,
Oh my God.
yeah, it's bad.
Don't they need them to chop out
I'm
down
scared
trees?
now.
They were not chopping trees to start with.
Oh my gosh.
Is this like
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre type stuff?
Very similar. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a lot of blood.
I'm
Oh.
terrified.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on that dark note.
Maybe we could switch segments now.
So,
I'm scarred.
Well, Max, what would you get into this week?
Well, this week I learned how to, throw a football game. It wasn't exactly the best one for the Lost Boys, but
Wait, you threw the game?
Through the game single-handedly. You should have seen it.
no, I think it was a team meltdown.
No. We'll have to save that for the football podcast.
Damn, I thought mine was depressing.
Oh,
Gosh,
guys, let's get the energy up here.
Dan,
Let's
bring
get
us back up.
Yeah, we
So,
got a chainsaw massacre. No, yeah, all right. So this week, guys, we've been looking at like the ways we think about the world, and so one of the things I wanted to explore more were cognitive biases. And so with us here, we've got a slew of cognitive biases here. A slew, a smorgasbord of cognitive biases.
Do you want to try that again?
Smorgasbord. How do you say it?
Is this smorgasbord?
Smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord.
With a G or a D at the end? I'm actually say it. How do you say it?
Smorgasbord?
With a G.
Smorgasbord.
Where's
You see,
Fran
with a
when
G.
you
Yeah, yeah.
This is when we need Fran.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I just called you. I gotta prove myself.
All
here.
right. This is gonna be
It's gonna be interesting.
Have you guys ever had like a real smorgasbord? We'll say it like this.
Yeah.
Smorgasbord.
That's amazing.
It's
I-
a smorgasbord.
Ooh, there's a very much.
Smorgasbord.
There's a D.
There's a D at the end.
Smorgasbord.
Please, sir, can I have some more?
Wow.
There you go.
Smorgasbord is the planet that Dan was from before he came to Earth. Wow. To steal our culture and secrets.
Yeah. Wow. I did not know that was with a D. Well, thank you. Yeah. And you know what? That brings me to one of the cognitive biases. I'm not sure if you guys want to get into the Google effect. Easily.
I just did it.
Yeah.
It's Google can really help us find information like really fast, like but it's also, have you guys found that it's also like it's kind of taken away your ability to remember things? Like,
Well, it's ruined the whole bar debate. Back in the day, before people had phones in their hands,
Yeah.
there used to be like a bar debate, and
Right.
people would debate their facts, and then
Yeah.
they'd be like, no, you're totally wrong.
Right.
And now everyone
It's
can just whip out their
Screwed up
phone.
pub quiz forever.
We could have had a
I
fight.
disagree so much so because there's certain things you should know, but like there's so much information out there. It's not about knowing the information; it's about knowing to find it.
Yeah.
Right? Because in my profession, there's so much information. They're at the point now where they say, this plane runs on electrics, and we're going to give you 48 pages on what the electrics of this aircraft are. You're like, 48 pages on flying and they're like, 48 pages. Because all you need to do is know where to find the information.
Okay.
You don't need to know it, just know where to find it.
So those 48 pages are like an index, just like
Of
wow.
links.
You have X amount of batteries, you have X amount of generators, and that's it. You have a DC system, you have an AC system. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know about the airing bus. Don't
Because you got Google.
Is that?
You got Google.
No, you just need to know where to find the information.
Right. All right.
We don't-
on
have
Google,
you-
on Google.
No, we don't have Google.
Have you? So you cannot access Google like while you're flying a plane.
You can.
Hey,
You have to
Google,
purchase
hey,
it.
Google.
How do I land this plane? Oh crap! My Google. That reminds me of this meme. What was that movie with Jamie Foxx and with Leo DiCaprio? The Django, right? And then that meme where Leo's like shaking the wine glass.
Oh, yeah,
And it was
yeah,
like this meme was like when you were in elementary school and your teacher used to say, "You won't always have a calculator in math class." And then he's got his phone and he's like, because it's true, right? Did your teachers always used to say that? You're not always gonna
Yeah.
Why do I need to memorize these times tables?
Tipping is the only reason why. That's
yes.
the only reason I think all of my math is Well, like there are tons. We got these papers here. There are tons of cognitive biases, and I was just thinking if you guys maybe want to talk about one that maybe you found in your own way of thinking. I maybe I can share a bit about one called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect. So Dunning-Kruger, it's this idea that at first, whenever you learn something, you immediately feel like, whoa, like I'm confident, I got this. Like when I tried to learn Cantonese at first, I'm like, oh, this isn't so hard. And then you have a sudden realization, I don't know anything. And only then do you actually start to learn. So definitely, like, I've had that whenever I try to learn like a new topic, or with my students, like whenever they feel like, oh no, I don't I feel like we're gonna lose, or I don't understand this. That's when I know it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, and you just need to overcome it, and then and that's when you know you're really learning, when you realize you don't know anything.
Who said that though?
All right, we got a first philosopher drop.
Yeah.
All right. So I think you said that was Socrates, right?
I said Socrates.
Okay. I think that sounds about right.
I think it sounds about right.
Oh, keep going.
All right. Well, what's a cognitive bias that you guys have found in your own way of thinking?
Just making sure we stay in order. I believe I wanted to bring up the sunk cost fallacy. I think it's a bias. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Google.
I
Hey,
think-
Google.
No,
I
a bias is a fallacy.
A bias
Yeah.
is a fallacy, right? She's not going to answer me. So the sunk cost fallacy, which is experienced in life all the time. I was saying before the show that I experience it when I'm waiting in line for the bus, for example. You're in line, the bus might be taking late, perceive that it's coming later than usual, so you're like, crap, I should go take another method of transportation, the MTR or something, but then in your mind you're like, wait, I've been waiting here for so long, would be a waste of the time that I've been waiting, or otherwise, well, as soon as I leave, it's going to come. So you just kind of stay there in limbo, right? There's a lot of aspects of life where this comes into play. It could be to do with work, a job. It could be in a relationship. The longer you stay with somebody in a flawed relationship, and the reason that you won't leave is because there's so much time invested in the relationship, and you feel that you're sacrificing all of the time or money or resource that you've invested by walking away. And in reality, in a lot of situations, if you really dig into it, you actually stand more to gain by just cutting your losses. Yeah,
It's true. It's so true. It's very
Yeah.
true.
When was the last time you felt that like cutting your losses was the right decision?
This morning on the way to work.
This morning on the way to work. No, and there's a lot of times in the office, I don't want to bore you guys with office chat, but there's a lot of times when, especially in management, sometimes you have to deal with your ego and this and that, and you realize that you hold on to things longer than you should, just because that's the way things were. And then, somebody might come with a new idea, and that's the way we do things. I've done things this way. And
Yeah.
if I let go of that position, then I stand to lose all of my, you name it, power, abilities, whatever. And, there's so many times you just have to think it's time for me to let go and accept what's to come, what changes to come, because you're not the smartest person in the room, right?
Powers and abilities.
That's where the Dunning-Kruger effect. I realize that I'm not so smart, so I'm willing to let go of my sunk cost.
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, and for a lot of our jobs, it really comes down to getting like real results and getting overcoming some of these cognitive biases. But have you guys, like you said, sometimes it's like the inertia of the company, that's actually what keeps people in power, so it can serve you as well, right?
Yeah.
How about you guys? What's a cognitive bias you guys have found recently?
Well, back when I used to work in restaurants, when I first started, I would always get so nervous like talking to guests, but I just read here one of the biases is kind of like when you're public speaking, you get all nervous and you feel like the spotlight I think it's the spotlight effect. You feel like the spotlight's on you, but really, the reality is no one's...
Just when you're talking to guests. As soon as somebody asks for your help, sorry, I like the water.
I used to feel like that, but then, once you start doing it a few times, you realize half the time you're giving presentations, think about yourself. Are you always paying attention to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you a nervous public speaker? Like, is that something you had to overcome?
Yeah, I think when I first started off in university giving presentations, I was like, oh my God, these lectures, because, we went from smaller classrooms to big lectures of like hundreds of people, and at first it was kind of nerve-wracking, but then you realize half these people maybe only like less than a quarter are paying attention.
Right.
And same thing
Exactly.
with guests. You realize half the time they're just enthralled in their own conversation.
In their own conversation. It's the
Yeah.
same thing at the gym. When you go to the gym and you in like a newbie, they like, I'm afraid of messing up because people are watching me. No,
Yeah.
everyone's focused on themselves,
Yeah.
looking at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know, you could like drop a barbell on your chest and everyone will be flexing.
Yeah. Oh. Well, that gets. I want to get into.
That one really hit Dan hard.
Everyone will be flexing.
Yeah.
I was constantly flexing.
You know, I started going to the fitness room at my estate. I'm getting into it. Yeah, yeah.
Your estate.
The fitness room, not a gym yet, but a fitness room.
Do you realize if Western people are listening and they hear
Oh,
you
yeah,
say,
yeah, okay.
I went
Gotcha.
to the fitness room in my estate, you sound like a baller.
Yeah, no. Estate is just it's just like yeah. Actually, that's the thing about Hong Kong. You're like, I live in this estate. Like I live in a
mansion.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, the mansion. They have mansions.
I live in the
and buildings.
Chongqing Mansions.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I was thinking about one of the cognitive biases, the bystander effect, was something. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get into that, but Phil, what's a cognitive bias you have come across?
The halo effect.
Mm.
Oh man, it's got me.
See that right here.
There it is. Yeah, it's got me in so much trouble so many times because it's about seeing the positive trait in another person, even at their negative traits, with their negative traits. So you think, oh man, this person is a great person, and
Angel.
yeah, an angel.
It's literally on the picture.
And when they do X, Y, Z, they're doing this for the good of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And of late, I think I've just been so drained from constantly giving that sort of energy that, I'm gonna just vanish into the world. You
So
know?
you're saying that you're giving this effect. You are not the people around you. It's you.
You're haloing or they're haloing you?
No, this is a bias. So this is it's a personal thing that's projected on someone else.
Right.
See, the definition of bias is your
Right.
impression of another person. So this is the halo effect.
Okay.
Always seeing the good in other people, even though it may not be.
It's tricky in relationships usually, you know.
Oh,
'cause you
Lord.
always want to give people the benefit of
Right.
the doubt. You always be like, oh no, this
That's the
person
thing.
wouldn't do that. But
So you can't have a bias. You can't experience it. I guess you can experience a bias against you, but you can't. This is something that I always project onto other people, and then you realize that person isn't so great. You know, that person is kind of a douchebag.
you gotta
right?
just
So-
take them at face value, right?
Right.
With their actions. Right?
Yeah, I have a new saying. Everyone is an asshole, and I stand by it, man.
When did you pick that up? When
I've said it for a while, but now I fully stand on it because
Okay.
people, I don't know, someone said hell is other people, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's true. That's true. It was.
what do you think that means? Like,
that no matter what, other people will give you the torment. They'll torment you in ways that you can't imagine, right? They're literally hell on earth. But it's kind of dark and it's kind of like seedy. And when I used to say that to myself, I was like, hell is other people, but it's okay. I'm just going to run through hell. But now I'm just like, you know what, man? I don't know.
Don't you think this is a dangerous gateway into a more cynical life?
Yeah.
Don't you sort of only hurt yourself more the more you carry this? Even if you know it's true, and we all know it's a little bit true, by going through life like this, assuming everyone is an asshole until proven innocent, you're kind of carrying that burden on yourself.
Well, I say it with cynicism, but also with a hint of jest, because everyone will disappoint you. This is a fact. It's a fact of life. You can meet the nicest person in the world. You can be sitting with Mother Teresa, and she won't share her pizza with you. She won't. And you're like, what? But you're Mother Teresa. You're like feeding children.
Yeah.
You have pizza. It's a whole pizza. You're not gonna eat the pizza by yourself. Give me some pizza. She doesn't give you pizza. And then you're like, oh no, this is what's happened? All of a sudden, you've cast this halo effect on Mother Teresa.
Right.
And what ends up happening is you've set these expectations, and then people don't meet up these expectations.
Right.
And we do it all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the worst thing to do. And then you realize, oh, Mother Teresa was an asshole sometimes. You know?
Yeah, and it's only when you're you break out of the halo effect spell and you look back and you're like, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So by going into the situation being like, everyone's an asshole, you kind of prep yourself. It was Marcus Aurelius who said, today I'm gonna wake up and meet adversity and meet people going through X, Y. There's a whole like chapter about it. But basically, he was like, I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be tough. People aren't gonna be who they want to be, who they're supposed to be, who they're trying to be. And by realizing that, you kind of seek the good and you kind of seek the silver lining in every cloud. Yeah. Because the rest of the time, it's just if you think the world is rosy, oh man, the world
expectations.
Is not.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's expectations.
Don't you feel that when you go into a situation, you assume everyone's an asshole? Does it change your behavior towards them? Because it's hard to approach someone you think's an asshole and be like, hey, how are you today? If really deep down, you're just like, everyone here's a jerk, so I'm just going to kind of put myself at their level. Hey, what's up? And then I think you're an asshole because you're kind of projecting the way you feel they are. And then people are like, they were in a good mood. And I'm like, what's wrong with Phil? He's a fucking asshole. So and only when they get to know you, they're like, oh, I thought you were an asshole the whole time. You're like, I thought you were an asshole. Everyone's an asshole.
I know what you're saying. When I say that everyone is an asshole, you can't pigeonhole them by saying everyone is an asshole. All you're doing, you're not putting everyone in the room as assholes. You're just saying to yourself that because I have this halo effect. Yeah. In the past, the halo effect put everyone on this pedestal, and you say, well, everyone is actually an asshole. Everyone's mean. Everyone is unkind, right? Then you realize that, oh, there's another level to this person. And you realize, oh, maybe this person is, a team player, or maybe this person is more of an independent or an introvert. And then you start to build a mural because we sum it up in such a way that if you see everyone with this halo effect we talk about as this wonderful, cheery, great personality, then man, you'll get hurt. Hey?
Yeah, it's true.
And I've been burnt many, many times. Yeah. So by saying that to myself, I know just saying you walk into a party and it's like, well, screw these guys. I'm not gonna. No. Everyone's great and everyone's not great. You can be both. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. People contain multitudes.
Multitude. Yeah. You can be Steve from Philly and Steve who lives in Hong Kong. Right. There's not either.
So maybe flawed is a better word than asshole. Everyone's flawed.
No, I lie. I love the hyperbole.
But it sounds like for you, Phil, like you were so far with the halo effect. You need that stronger, that more the opposite in order to counterbalance that.
That's right. You need the other side of the coin.
So you're saying that our biases come from experience. I mean, some of them definitely. Yeah.
Right? Mental models, right?
Yeah. Like, and I think that there's definitely like biases that like when we look back on our own lives that we can see like having the halo effect or I know that like for me is one here I see on the paper, declinism is one idea that I always kind of think that eventually things will fall apart. There's and even if there's information to the contrary, I always just kind of assume that eventually things will just kind of collapse. I don't like. I don't know if it means like society or that means like.
Anything, right?
But I'm not like. I'm definitely not like. I'm not like a doomsday prepper. Like I'm not doomsday prepping over here.
How many cans of soup do you have in your?
I'm ready to go. Like
I don't know if you did this justice.
Yeah. What is declinism?
We tend to romanticize the past and view the future negatively, believing that society's institutions are by and large in decline. So when you said you're like everything's gonna fall apart, but you're basing it on the past. So you're basically saying things were better before and they're going to get worse.
Like I don't know if you guys can share in this general map of your life, but I always assume that like the 90s, early 2000s. Awesome.
That's just a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact.
That is everyone knows it.
90s, early 2000s was like,
So okay, it was great, but also I disagree, man. You didn't have an iPhone, like the ability to connect with people, like now is incredible, right? It's hip hop, music in the 90s. We say it's great, but music you can literally make a song on your phone right now.
But it's that what is it? The rose-colored vision. We always tend to like you're looking at hip hop in the 90s. That's just one thing of all the things that happened in the 90s.
And we're like, oh my gosh, we had Tupac, we had Biggie.
Or like Pokemon.
Yeah, we had Pokemon.
Game Boy,
Doesn't this
you have to wait a week for each episode.
We can play Game Boy on our iPhone now. You're going to play Game Boy?
You have to wait a week for Dragon Ball episodes. Now you can just binge the whole thing. You're binge watching Attack on Titan.
Yeah, but don't think, I think we talked about this in a previous episode. Doesn't that, things lose their magic when you have such access to this media so frequently? it loses the magic, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine the excitement of Pokemon being on, yeah, versus.
Right now is a better time to be alive than the 90s. And I will say that and stand on that because we romanticize the past.
Yeah, that
Hindsight's
nostalgia.
2020.
That nostalgia, right?
We love nostalgia. When we think about the past, we bring up emotion. You're thinking about the emotion he gave you. The 90s was rough, bro. El Nino, there was like the Gulf War and like the oil spills and all that. Like
Yeah, and it's just
crazy,
through
man.
because of our age,
Yeah.
we viewed the world more in a simpler way back then.
Well, you basically like think about the times when you were a kid and your parents were like, "Go to bed." Like, "Oh no, you can't sleep over," and you're like, oh, "Damn, I can't wait till I grow up." Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm tired of listening to mom and dad or like, you know, Mr. Dan, that dick teacher, you know. But but you know, now we have all these responsibilities. We have, you know, we're transitioning into our mid-youth. We look at our childhood as a simpler time. Like, oh man,
time.
it was so sweet. I didn't have to make any decisions.
Yeah.
You know. So I think you know, there's that juxtaposition of always looking back and thinking it. Is better
and
than
the issue is like when we make that comparison, we compare
the best of that time.
to the worst of this time.
Yeah.
That's what we
Right.
do, unfortunately, in the past. Because
Right.
we remember the good feeling and face it against the bad reality. It'll never compete. It'll never compete with each other.
Right.
So it's like the 90s was great. No, like 90s, early 2000s, amazing. Have you seen a cell phone commercial from the 90s? Terrible.
I see what
Wait,
you're
but
saying.
so
when was
bad.
the Nokia invented? Like the Nokia
was-
brick?
That was
that
like
thing-
96, 97.
Because that thing lasts for like 20 years, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah. So
It
they
did.
don't build them like they used to.
I
you know?
don't.
Yeah.
But then again, it couldn't take a picture.
That's
Hurricane Sandy on the Time magazine was taken by an iPhone.
Wow.
I just remember appreciating things more because there was more scarcity.
Yeah.
You can still appreciate things
Yeah.
more, and that's a choice you can make.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you can choose to feel that depth of emotion. You know what I mean? You can't choose to go to a new place and feel a sensation like the first time effect over and over again, right? Like, you can't. You just can't choose it. I don't know. There was so many things that were new to us. Whether it was our age or the time, I'm not sure. Maybe it's
It was your
learning.
age.
Maybe you're right about
It
that.
was
But
the age. I mean, remember the first time you discovered that television doesn't end at like midnight. It actually keeps going. You're like, this is incredible.
That's a whole episode right there. After dark.
yeah.
Phil just shadowed my world, guys.
The first
Can we
time you
end this
discovered
episode now?
the first time you discovered anime, it changed your world.
Yeah,
Now,
Tsunami.
You just got to keep discovering new stuff. Keep discovering.
and there's so much more out there, right? Like,
Aren't you?
Where's the
didn't you-
discovery bias here,
Aren't-
guys? I know the papers.
I was. This is probably a bit of a tangent, but one of the things that I really this is gonna be the third philosophy drop for
Oh,
this
sorry.
episode.
But by the way, the first philosopher was Aristotle.
Aristotle.
that's
Aristotle or
Socrates,
Socrates.
that's
It's 50-50.
There were dozens, if not hundreds more.
I used to study a bit about this guy named Theodore Adorno. This philosopher, he basically said things are going to repeat again and again. So things are not real anymore. Instead, what is real is things that can replicate and things that can be coded. And what's fascinating, I was listening to some news about NFTs coming in today, and basically they're saying that this is not only like an economic revolution.
What's an NFT stand for?
what's it?
Non-fungible token.
And they're saying that this could be this is where they can make one copy of something on the internet. It's going to totally change the way the internet works.
Right.
Anti-cash, right?
Yeah.
You can trade I think the latest one, the NFT for the Nyan cat. Remember that the meme from like 2000?
Yeah.
That just the original NFT sold for like stupid
It's
nuts.
so weird. It's so foreign. Like
Yeah.
like Nintendo could sell a Pikachu with a top hat, and it would be the only one of that, and you're the only one and that's it. And then people will pay big money for that. It's such a foreign. It's so modern, and it's so like appropriate for the time. Like you can believe now that this would be a thing, but at the same time, it just
we're
doesn't make
all
sense.
copy paste
Copy pasta.
Yeah.
pasta. You know, like when people find memes, it just
Right.
spreads. And then
But did you
some,
know that like
oh,
artists could make one digital copy of something and sell it for big bucks? You just assume that everything could be copied and pasted.
And
Control,
I guess
Control C, Control V. Right?
Look at you.
Wow. Clearly, he's a
But,
Windows user, right? Control. I'm command life, man.
well, before we move on from these biases, I do want to get into one I thought was interesting was the bystander effect. So when you guys see me struggling on the bench and I'm struggling for air, you guys aren't gonna spot me. You guys because you're gonna leave me struggling there.
Actually, remember that time we were walking down the street in Wanchai and that guy was like being really aggressive to that lady, and we stopped him. Remember?
Oh yeah.
We were walking down.
So.
Wanchai.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
We just saw this man like kind of being very kind of inappropriate, not beating her or anything, but just kind of yelling at her, kind of getting in her face, and then we saw it and we stopped the guy like, is everything okay?
Did they look like a couple or like?
Probably yeah.
Okay.
But it was like she wasn't reacting, like she was just walking, like looking
Wow.
sullen, and he was just screaming in a very, what's the word we're looking for?
Harassing?
And like we weren't trying to be confrontational, but when you see something like that, you the least thing you can do is be like, hey, what's up?
Right.
At least like kind of
Yeah.
It was like kind of like a strength in numbers. We had some females in our group, so it wasn't like a let's roll up on this guy and be like.
And that's the story of how we met each other. And I apologize to that lady.
Note it
before
down.
I-
So he's never done it again. Yeah.
But I think the bystander effect is a little more than strength in numbers.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite. It's the fact that you're a part of the bigger population.
Right.
And the more people there are, the less likely you are to help a victim.
The less
weakness in
accountability.
numbers.
I think it's in play when you see I hate to say it, but when you see people begging on the street, you kind of just walk past them. I feel like that's kind of bystander effect, right?
I would do it. No,
Yeah,
but I would.
100%.
To be honest with you, depending on the day. Honestly, look, you can give to every homeless person you see, but many of us don't. Even if it's just me walking down the street.
Yeah, and some of them look pretty like decrepit and
Right.
not trying to say anything mean, but a lot of us just kind of go about their day and just assume like, okay, it's someone else will deal with it. So I think
what's kind of like with like giving to homeless people on the street is also like the demands on the good that we can do for others is so much greater now. And what I was thinking about like I not to toot my own horn here, but I give a little bit of money to charity
Right.
for a
There you go.
family overseas. Like I live in Honduras and I give them like a little bit of money each month. But I realized though.
When does it end, Dan?
Well,
the
but
halo effect is real with Dan.
but here's the thing though.
You see
It's
the wings, right?
no, I'm a dick teacher. Yeah. But the thing is like, okay, I give like $45 US a month. Not that much. Why can I not give like 300, 400? Why can I not give like a greater amount? And then like why can't I give more money to more people like overseas or who really need it? And I think that it's about like what the good you can do has become expanded like infinitely. And it can be a little overwhelming, like what is our responsibility? And I know in the 1970s there was this murder. I have to Google it here, but there's a Google effect. I forget who.
I got you.
There's this the bystander law from New York. The Seinfeld ended on this. It was basically someone got murdered in the middle of this courtyard. No one. She bled to death, and she was dying for like 30 minutes. No one was there to help her. And so they passed these bystander laws in New York. And it's like, if you're in a courtyard and you oversee someone like dying, like, are you under an obligation to do something, even though there's like 100 other people that are watching the same thing? And Steve, you had something happen the other day.
A couple years ago. No, I was mentioning that I was walking in Shangwan and there was really steep steps between the alleys for like older steps, whatever, I don't know. And I was walking down the steps and this woman, I just hear behind me kaplunk, and I look, and then this older woman fell down the steps, and she, her head was bleeding out of her head. It was actually a little bit gruesome and disturbing for sure. And my first instinct was to not do anything, because I was like, well, this doesn't normally happen and somebody else will help her. And then I looked around me and I realized there was nobody else. So it's such a foreign feeling to have to be the one to jump into this mode. And I mentioned when I told you guys the story originally, part of it's because in China, you're not supposed to actually, you're told not to help people that get hurt because culturally, some people unfortunately use that to their advantage when they're looking for someone to blame or how can they profit off their ill fate.
Right.
So I had all these things going through my head. And in reality, I was just waiting for somebody else to step in. But then after like a minute or so, I realized, well, this is on me.
A minute. 60 seconds?
Well, I kept a safe distance. I looked. I made sure, you had to think through it. And then
crazy,
just call.
Because in the past you would have stepped up immediately.
Probably
right?
in the States, yeah. But having gone and experienced multiple cultures,
so your experience influenced your decision.
I believe so.
For that 60 seconds.
I think so. Yeah.
And that conflict.
Yeah, it was a bit of a conflict. But in the point was I was waiting for somebody else to step up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't happening. So I was like, all right.
999.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think this is why people don't vote, or why there was such a push for voting? Is because a lot of people assume that everyone else will do it.
Someone else will do it. Take the vaccine. I'm not going to take the vaccine. I'm going to wait for everyone else to do it.
Yeah. And I think that people have, I think a lot of this comes down with how we deal with other people down to like trust. And if you trust that society will do the right thing eventually, but then,
but everyone's an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
We've come full circle.
Well, so I guess do you guys find that there's any like these cognitive biases? Are you guys very aware of them in your life, or is this kind of the first time you guys have thought about them? Like for this week's episode, like do you guys see them in yourselves, or do you guys not see them until you have to think about it? Like,
I know it full well. For the past 5 years, I've just been discovering my biases and just trying to figure them out, and trying to come up with strategies and solutions to overcome them. And even when it's there and I can't avoid it, I will at least make a mental note about it. So let's say I what was one of them, the actor observer effect. If I think this person is like this because of XYZ, like it's a basic stereotype, then I'll make a mental note and then I'll try challenge that bias at least to say maybe they're not like that. Let's go find out. Maybe they're not an asshole. Maybe they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it can be very, very negative and lead you down a very dark path.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah. IQ aside, like sheer IQ aside, I think a show of true intelligence is one's ability to recognize the biases in a situation quickly. Like as soon as you enter a situation, you challenge your own thoughts. I'm probably feeling this way because of this. I'm looking at anchoring, for example, or I'm probably feeling confirmation bias. I think being able to question whether or not you're experiencing confirmation bias is one of the most important forms of intelligence.
Absolutely.
And I guess that falls into EQ. But some people just don't have it, and we experience it on the news, and you think, how do these people not recognize how flawed their way of thinking is?
Yeah.
They don't question themselves.
Well, I think it comes from, our biases stem from like a self-defense mechanism, and as Steve and Phil were saying, most of these biases come out unconsciously as your natural self-defense mechanism, but it's up to us to recognize, okay, maybe I'm stereotyping here, or maybe I'm kind of applying this negative bias, and I need to kind of slow down and kind of reassess the situation. And I think having that ability to do that is key. The biases will always be there, but being able to recognize it and be like, wait a minute, maybe I need to give this another look at. Yeah.
Well, I think Phil, I think like it feels like you're balancing your biases. But I think that kind of what Max and Steve has said, like just being aware of them, I guess. Like
100%.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if biases are something. Some of them we have to overcome. Like I think, and in certain situations, definitely. But sometimes I think just like, okay, this is the way I think.
Right.
Yeah. So it and like we were talking about before, it's kind of what's a bias, what's what's just the way we think. It can kind of be a little gray, but yeah, like so I guess, do you guys have any other biases you want to get into, or any other?
I am very time sensitive when it comes to bias, so I will often rush things that should maybe go on because it's the life out of its career. I'm like, we must leave right now, So that's one of the things that I'm very.
I think that's a cultural thing for sure.
Running out of time effect. What is that? Yeah. I'm trying to find it on paper.
Phil of the future, future me is like, no, I must
That's good. You're aware of the time. Yeah,
Always
Well, speaking of being aware of time, I think that brings us to the end of this here episode. Any business you guys want to get into before we wrap up?
Business. I don't think we have pending business at the moment.
No,
nothing on the docket.
We just keep doing the NYU. The podcast is running strong. We're living a good life.
So. Nice.
Any challenges, Max?
Watch John Carter.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us for this episode of the MidYouth Universe Saga series. Thank you for joining us at home, and take care, everyone.
The MidYouth Cast Saga Universe,
and
we
the
go
saga
by
continues.
Our cast contains multitudes. That's for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Exciting.
It's a multiverse now.
Yeah.
Multiverse.
Yeah. All right. Well, peace, homies. I don't know how to end these things. You guys know how to end these things?